Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Thank you, John. Surprise, surprise, folks. Guess what? The western extension of light rail is behind schedule.
Dun, dun, dun.
I just cannot believe it. Behind schedule? Yep. About a year behind schedule. I mean, that is really behind schedule. I mean, most cities, they're a week or two behind schedule, maybe a month if they're really bad. Not in Ottawa. We're a year behind schedule. What we will be behind tomorrow, heaven only knows. I mean, I would imagine that every single day we're going to get further and further behind. But anyway, who cares? I mean, the damn thing doesn't work properly when it goes anyway, right? Oh, man. You know what? It almost makes you feel sorry for all those new members of council who are going to be elected on October 24th.
Oh, God, what a nightmare.
Essentially, it's almost a hopeless task. The city is just a royal mess. I could use another phrase, but it's just a royal mess. An absolute, utter screw-up from start to finish. Running out of dump space and too dumb to get into the 21st century with high-efficiency incineration, waste to energy. Oh, no, we can't do that. Roads are such a mess, it's worth your life. If there's a road in Ottawa that is not a kidney shaker, I haven't seen it yet. Holy mackerel. About $1 billion in debt. Oh, well. Light rail way over budget and only works once in a while when the wheels aren't square. OC Transpo buses, well, there's a few of them running. Sometimes, occasionally, maybe, if they feel like it, perhaps, if you're lucky.
No, they're running at 1 o'clock in the morning. Articulated buses or double deckers with nobody on them.
Oh, my God. They're going to shut down the Queensway, the only essentially east-west route, for a few days this month. I mean, who the hell wants to work in Ottawa anyway, right? Oh, they can't figure out. The Ottawa Hospital, New Ottawa Hospital, is almost 2 years behind schedule, and they haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet. Unbelievable. 12-hour wait in emergency rooms, and the paramedics in our ambulances tied up for hours in the hospital because nobody, including the guys making $600,000 and $700,000, can figure out how to get them back out onto the road. 5-year-old kid, a kindergarten kid can figure it out, but no, not if you're making $600,000. There's no way you can figure out how do we get those paramedics back out onto the road. Oh my God! So God help new city council. It's as I say, I just don't know what they're going to do, what they're going to tackle first. It's just a god awful mess. Thank God we've got 3 serious candidates who are prepared to give it a try. So this afternoon, I'm going to pick your brain. Well, in your case, no, we're going to pick your brain, okay?
Careful.
I forgot. Most people are conservative. You got a good brain, okay? So the key to this new council is the mayor. Let's face it, everybody else is really just a bit player, right? So who do you think would have the best chance of fixing up a few problems? Maybe get the buses running once in a while on time or patch a few potholes. I don't know. Who do you think would do the best job? Only 3 serious contenders. Now, you may disagree with me. Go ahead. Few people have been known to disagree with me in the past. They were always wrong, but give it a try. But I would say the 3 main contenders, Bob Chiarelli, Cathering McKenney, and Mark Sutcliffe. Two with political experience, if that is of any benefit, and the other a successful entrepreneur. You may not like any of the three, but that's what we've got, folks. So you're going to have to make up your mind. One of them is going to win. So pick the one you think would do the best job, or maybe not screw up as much as the others. Chiarelli, McKenney, or Sutcliffe? If you plan on voting on October 24th, and I hope you do, people forget. I mean, city council is the government that's closest to us. It's the one that affects us most frequently on a day-to-day basis. Property taxes, roads, garbage, fire, police, etc. So it's important. I'm not going to dwell on that, but I hope you're going to vote on October 24th. And at this point, who do you like? Who do you think? Well, there's two questions, really. Who do you think is going to win? And who do you think should win? Well, third question. And who will you vote for? So three questions, really. Who do you think will win? Who do you think should win? And who are you going to vote for October 24th? As I say, if there's one of the other candidates, most of whose names I don't even know, but if you plan on voting for one of the other, that's fine. But of the three serious, okay? Who do you think stands the best chance of winning? Who do you think would do the best job, and who do you plan to vote for? Chiarelli, McKenney, or Sutcliffe? There you go, folks. I haven't got another topic, so maybe we can start to create a little bit of interest in this municipal election. I think it's time that we started to pay a little bit of attention. I see that Bob Chiarelli has come out with the standard promise of every politician that I ever met, ever saw in 86 years of my life. I am going to freeze taxes. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So that's his big announcement. You're going to freeze taxes. Right. Yeah. Okay. So but at least there's a little bit of publicity. So there we go, folks. Who do you vote for? Who do you think's got the best chance? And who do you think would do the best job? John, any reaction as yet?
Yeah, starting to get some answers in here. Here we go. So Ann says Mark S. is the best choice. Kind of a lefty, but pretty sensible. Tom says, good God, hopefully not McKenney. And I want to know Mark Sutcliffe's stance on waste to energy, says David Sampson. Ann says, I love Chiarelli's newest promise to freeze property taxes for a year if he's elected. How could he possibly pull that off with all the COVID and raising gas prices that have cost the city? The city fleet does not run on fairy dust. Sounds like a desperate promise by a desperate man. And
yeah, you know what? But every year, and I'm not just picking on Bob. I've known Bob for many, many years. I've shared a couple of New Year's Eves with Bob Chiarelli. Good guy. But this idea that we're going to freeze taxes, I mean, this is a saw that's just a little bit dull. Okay, go ahead, John.
The choices are rather slim, says Ann, but now I would go for Sutcliffe. But seriously, don't really know. Carrie says Sutcliffe, on all counts, McKenney was part of the city council who caused a lot of these problems. And Dylan is talking about provincial politics, which is not what we're talking about today. But nonetheless, go ahead, fill your boots. 613-413-2217 is the number. We got text rolling in. Haven't researched all three, knowing that I picked Sutcliffe. This question is, where do we go to vote? Rose in Canada. We'll get to that closer to the election in October. Rose, you'll get notification of that. Again, the number is 613-413-2217. When are the powers that be going to reinstate, rehire all those nurses, doctors, police, firefighters who refused vaccinations? Asks Bruce.
Could we have, is that the only comment we have on the topic?
No, so far. Chiarelli looks too much like Bart's friend Newman from The Simpsons, says Terry. And Eileen says, you can tell who has some political knowledge with the stupid promises. Sutcliffe for mayor, says Eileen. They're rolling in slowly but surely.
Okay, folks, if we don't get any response, I'm just going to sign off early. I won't be in tomorrow. I got to take my 86-year-old driver's test tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
They have to see if I can play the big test with these things. The big quiz is, can you make a clock, draw a clock,
That's it.
and have the hands at 10 minutes past 11? And if you can't do that, you're screwed. Okay, so that's my big test tomorrow, and I gotta do some blood work as well. Um, I thought one of the concerns I did have about today was there's so little interest in municipal politics. So I thought it was time to start paying attention. As I say, the selection of mayor is vital to this city. We got a lot of problems here. We're going to have to elect a new mayor, and I think it's time that we started to pay attention. Could be wrong, folks. If there's no interest whatsoever, then maybe we'll just, I don't know, walk down the street and say, "You're the mayor."
Oh, God, don't point at me. Julie's on Twitch. She's saying, Mark Sutcliffe, time to try somebody new. Mark Sutcliffe stands the best chance to try and fix the disaster Ottawa has become, says Deborah. I will be voting for Mark. Christina, how about Sutcliffe? Would like to know more about him and the other candidates. I can't believe people don't know Mark Sutcliffe. Man's been on radio since before I've been on radio. He's been around for a long, long time. How long did he do talk radio at CFRA?
Oh gosh, many years, and then he went to 1310 and did many more years. But for me, what the radio at least makes, he has to be aware of city problem. He, as a broadcaster doing what he did,
yeah.
He has to understand. He's not a politician, but he has to understand politics, how to relate to politicians, and he understands the city. That's the good thing about a broadcaster with Mark Sutcliffe's experience. To me, the most important aspect here is he has been a very successful entrepreneur.
Oh, God, yeah.
My feeling is that if you're an entrepreneur and you are successful, then number one, you're very bright. You're prepared to take some calculated risks. You work hard, and you're prepared, as I say, to really extend yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful as an entrepreneur. And he's been very successful. He, I think, was co-owner of the Ottawa Business Journal. Am I not correct? Yeah.
Yep.
And he's written a couple of very successful books. As a matter of fact, I helped distribute one of his books on running. He's a marathon runner, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's running the Boston Marathon, which I don't know if that's important or not. But to me, he hasn't been in politics, but he understands the city. He knows the city very well from stem to stern, knows the people involved, and has been very successful as a business person. Very honest too, by the way. As I say, I had an opportunity to work with him, and I found him to be very, very honest. There was a situation where we made a bit of a mistake here, and he could have walked away with a bit more money than he should have, and he pointed out, and he was quite right. So I point that out. He's honest.
So
all
listen,
right.
I know this is going to sound biased, and I don't intend it to. So let me put a little disclaimer first. I don't know much about Cathering McKenney other than she's been on council for a while. I certainly know Bob Chiarelli from his time as mayor. Never met the man, can't really speak to him, but I consider Mark to be a friend. So full disclosure, I consider Mark to be a friend. I've helped him out on his podcast, and I've certainly followed his career. I don't know what platforms Bob Chiarelli has. I don't know what platforms Cathering McKenney has, but if you are interested in finding out who Mark Sutcliffe is, if you find his podcast called Digging Deep, the very last episode, he declares that he is going to be running for Mayor of Ottawa and that he's going to take a hiatus from his podcast. But in that podcast, he has one of his sponsors interview him and discuss why he's running for mayor. And you get his whole story in that podcast, and it is well worth a listen. If Cathering McKenney has something similar, I'd be happy to put that out there in the interest of fairness. Same goes for Bob Chiarelli.
How do you get the podcast?
If you just go to, same as you would get the Lowell Green podcast. So if you go to Apple, Spotify, Google, just type in Digging Deep or type in Mark Sutcliffe, listen to his very last episode. I believe his website as well, Digging Deep, would have it there. So it's a really interesting listen. In a nutshell, Mark is, as Lowell described, an entrepreneur. His very first business. I love this about Mark. His very first business back in the days of, when he was a kid in high school, he couldn't stay up late enough to be able to watch his beloved baseball teams finish. So he didn't know what the scores were until he would get the paper a day or two later. So he started a call in, a telephone number that you would call in and get the daily sports scores. And the people
didn't know that.
yeah, and the people at Shea loved his entrepreneurial idea and brought him in to start doing sports for them, sponsored by his call-in sports hotline. And
Really?
that was his very first foray into into business.
Didn't he
Brilliant guy.
broadcast I think the Ottawa Lynx
He did.
baseball team, did he not? Yeah, do
Yeah, and he's been on,
play-by-play?
yeah, and he's hosted shows on Cable 22. I mean, so yeah, he's certainly not a stranger. Anyway,
Now, and I want to get a word in for Bob Chiarelli. Bob, as I say, I've known Bob for many years. Steve Madeley and Bob Chiarelli and I had, I think, 2 New Years together that we shared.
okay.
And let me just say this about Bob. As you know, I was very much involved in the 1998 ice storm, terrible disaster.
Right.
And Bob Chiarelli performed very well. He was regional chair at the time, or was he? I forget. Regional chair or mayor, and he responded. He responded immediately to all of my and Steve Madeley's requests for assistance. He formed a special committee. He listened to my show daily because people would phone in with all the problems.
Hey,
So
you
he
guys were the lifeline in that ice
Oh,
storm.
absolutely. But
100%.
he recognized that, used that as a springboard, and so he performed and what I'm saying to you is that Bob Chiarelli in a crunch performed very well. Um, I took real issue with him. The other side of it is when a member of the Quebec Hydro phoned me secretly to tell me that they were prepared to supply almost all of Eastern Ontario with hydro at about half the rate that that we were paying. I went to Bob Chiarelli, who was energy minister in the Kathleen Wynne cabinet, and I told him that, and he had no interest. So that's the other side of it. Go ahead. And by the way, I want to get a couple of words in here before we go.
Sure, we do have a call, by the way. So once you get your word in for Shields, let's take the call.
Shields.
Yep.
Good old Shields. Once again, and I just want to stress this. Yes, and I've had a couple of people call, well, do they have finance plans? Money's a little tight. Yes, they understand money is tight in many households. And yes, they have some very good finance plans. If you check out the website, you'll see it. You can give them a call. They'll explain it to you, including a plan where you don't have to start paying until 2004. The other thing, of course, is they are now a registered dealer for Sony. So you're in the market for televisions or, excuse me, other products that Sony makes. It's now the registered dealer there. And with appliances, Mark Shields tells me that about 90% of what you could possibly want in the way of appliances, he has right now in stock and will have it in your house within a few days. Shields.ca. You say there's a phone call coming in,
Yeah.
John?
Chris,
Yep.
thanks for holding. You're on live with Lowell Green. Go ahead, Chris. What's your question?
Yeah, I'm going to be supporting Mark Sutcliffe.
Okay.
I agree with the comments that Lowell made. And don't forget that as the host of the Rogers show, he was also the moderator for the debates, for the candidate debates for the last, 2 or 3 elections at least. So you would know the issues.
Oh yes. Oh no. He listen. If you're going to do talk as he did, you've got to understand the issues. There's no question. Understand the city, understand the issues, and understand and have a good knowledge of the people, which is very important, particularly as the mayor is rose. So you think? Let me ask you this. I know you support him. Do you think he can win?
I think he can win. I see that there are polls that saying that McKenney is in the lead right now.
Really? Oh God! Oh
Yeah.
God! Oh God!
Yeah,
Oh God.
I've seen that poll too, Chris and Lowell. Yes, I have.
Yeah,
Give me
And
something
that-
to stab myself in the ear with.
that
Ay,
scares
ay,
me
ay.
because Catherine McKenney is she's spearheading an initiative called the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty. And that treaty, it's a treaty initiative aiming to phase out fossil fuel production and support a just transition towards renewable energy. So in other words, they're going to kill the gas industry and the fossil fuel industry and start at the local level. So that scares the heck out of me.
Scares the heck out of me. Thank you for the call. Thank you. John, we get any other response coming in?
Absolutely, we do. Let's go to an email from Paul. Hi, Lowell. I would vote for any mayoral candidate who will rip up the $400 million electric bus purchase. I don't know if any candidates have made that statement about that yet, but I'm looking for it. That's Paul.
That's a very good point. We're going to the electric buses that we have ordered are more than double the cost of a diesel bus. They don't carry any more passengers. They don't run faster. They're a little bit quieter, I grant you that, but that's about it. Do they provide better customer service, except being a bit quieter? Absolutely not. So why are we prepared to pay double the cost? Somehow or other, we're going to save the planet. Give me a break. Go ahead, John.
Carrie, thank you. She found Mark's website for the podcast, letsdigdeep.com. Letsdigdeep.com. Thank you.
Okay.
And again, I always want to keep things fair. We always want to keep things fair. In fact, those are kind of the rules in the election. So if Cathering McKenney has a platform or a podcast or something to direct us to, same with Bob Chiarelli, more than happy to give that equal airtime. Eileen says, always listen to Mark shows years ago. Terrific host and very knowledgeable. Spoke with Mark once on his show about the military. Helen, I believe this is the first time we've heard from you. Welcome to the show. I will not vote for any already established politician. Ottawa needs a mayor who is as normal as possible. No past agendas and no anger towards the citizens of Ottawa who do not agree with current political agendas. My vote will go to Mark. Paul says, I liked what Chiarelli did during the 1998 ice storm, but not much else. John says, Mark Sutcliffe is by far the best choice. Time for a new face, a big, big mess to clean up. David, Mark Sutcliffe has the best shot at the mayor's spot. Perhaps a change is good. Chiarelli, when a minister in the Ontario Liberals, has too much baggage for me. Cup of coffee, freeze taxes on taxes, just idle comments. Remember that he is the one who started the pilot project O-Train that has screwed up this city. And says, Lowell, so many people don't know the difference between all levels of government. It's true.
Yeah, it's a little scary sometimes when people don't know the difference between municipal, provincial, and federal. I put that right back on the schools. I don't think schools are teaching civics anymore. I don't know what the hell the schools, other than how terrible we were in the residential schools. I don't know what other information is being imparted to our kids. They can't do math. They know nothing about the history of the country other than residential schools. Anyway, I'm off on a little bit of a tangent here, but
no, but you're right.
I'm going to tell you, my grandkids, great kids, bright kids, A students, every one of them. I know nothing about municipal government, how it works. Don't understand it, and smart kids and never learned, never been taught. Nobody has ever. In all of the time they've been in class, I mean, let's face it, by the time you get to university, you've been 12 years in school, probably 13 or 14 with kindergarten.
Exactly.
And in 13 or 14 years, that nobody ever explained to them the difference between municipal and provincial. I mean, oh my God. Go ahead, John.
There must be an easy way to break this down for folks, because I think it's an important thing. And this is why I appreciate shows like this, too, because we at least get into the conversation. And I know that a lot of your audience is very engrossed in this. This is, you live and breathe this every single day. But for the layperson who's just tuning in and doesn't necessarily know, I'd love to find an easy breakdown of who does what. Because you're right, the municipal election, my fear has been, and I've articulated this in the show before, if we had such low voter turnout, for the provincial election, especially after all of the province was responsible for during COVID-19, then what kind of numbers are we looking at for the municipal election? And like you said, that's our roads, that's our LRT, that's our transportation, that's our building of new stadiums, that's your property taxes, that's your bylaw, that's your cutting down of trees after, windstorms like we had on May 22nd. It's your everyday life is more affected by City Hall.
Police and fire.
Police, fire, paramedics, it's all city. You're right. Yep. Ann says, just Google it. It's not rocket science. Well, except, Ann, here's the thing. So many people will sit there and they'll punch something into Facebook and wait 3 or 4 hours for someone to respond to them because they can't figure out how to Google stuff.
You know what, Mark? Mark.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
I think you should take over this program. John.
Well,
you're learning, my boy.
Listen, you can't step into the ring with Lowell Green and not learn a thing or two. All right, back to the listener comments. Chrissy says, more I hear about Mark Sutcliffe, I'm liking him, Lowell, and she also wishes you a happy National Pickleball Day.
Oh, my goodness. By the way, one of my best buddies is he pioneered pickleball in this city. Pickleball has taken over. They've converted many of the tennis courts into pickleball courts. And I'm a little too old to be playing even pickleball, but you drive by and you see a lot of people in geriatric cases out playing pickleball. Good for them.
Lowell, every day on my show in Sarasota, I'm talking about some new pickleball court opening up in some place in Florida. It's a thing. All right, back to Barbara. She says, I'll poke my eyes out with a fork if McKenney wins. Ugh. Sutcliffe gets my vote, she says. Liz, I support Mark, but I'm afraid Bob and Mark will split the vote and McKenney comes up the middle. Gregory says, will Ottawa have the electrical grid to support e-buses? Those buses will have an enormous appetite for hydro. Let's go back to text, 613-413-2217. We've still got time for your call, by the way, if you want to squeeze that in before the bottom of the hour, 613-413-2217. This person says, hi, Lowell. I think I'll vote for Mark. I like Chiarelli offering tax freeze, but not sure if he can do it. He does have experience in politics to maybe get something done. I'd like to hear more on what Mark is running on. And this person says, you are right, Lowell. We need a mayor who is not a liberal. John, I listened to Mark a bit. I know he's a good speaker and a runner, but I don't know for sure if he is conservative.
I don't think he's pretty middle of the road.
I would agree.
He and I have had a few debates about this. He's middle of the road, I would say.
Yeah, you're always telling him you got to pick a team, right? And he just refused.
Yeah, he's middle of the road, which as a mayor is probably the best road to take. Go ahead, John.
Fair enough. Back to text. No to McKenney. Never taught this in school. Only liberals came to brainwash us on windmills, acid rain, etc. That is a text. Let's go back and just check the emails here, Lowell. But yeah, it is amazing how quiet when you get into municipal politics things become, because people really do seem to be kind of lost in the ocean of what's what here. And I hope you don't abandon the conversation on this altogether, because I think it's really important that people do know what the different levels of government do.
Well, let's just cover it. If you're not interested in municipal politics, let's just go through this. Municipal politics fixes your roads, looks after your roads, bike lanes, bus transportation, light rail, fire, police, garbage. What else? What am I missing here? Property tax, of course, sewers.
Maintaining your parks, snow plowing, sidewalk shoveling.
Thank you. Yeah. Essentially,
making sure your restaurant is up to health codes, etc.
Very true. Thank you very much.
Patios, whether they can open.
Yeah, smoking.
Smoking or non-smoking. Yeah, vaping or no vaping.
So, essentially, on the city affects your daily life. What roads you have, what condition the roads are in, how is your garbage picked up, the fire protection, police protection, public transit. I could go on and on, but that's essentially municipal. But there's no question that municipal government is by far, as far as your daily life is concerned, is much, much closer to you. Go ahead, John. We're almost out of time here.
Yeah, and provincial would be things like healthcare, would be things like highways,
education,
exactly. And federal gets into things like your airport situation right now, your passport situation right now, and apparently
defense, national defense.
There you go.
Security, immigration.
We're at 29 minutes after. Just a reminder, Lowell is away tomorrow. Murray's wishing you good luck on your driver's test. We've got one last text to get to. This has been a good conversation. Despite the lack of response, I think it's been a good conversation, so thank you. 613-413-2217. This person says, I agree about middle of the road. I thought it was because he had to be politically correct on radio. I would like to know if he's more in the conservative side. Being a business person indicates he may be.
Well, I'm going to tell you, he certainly understands the value of a dollar. And that's a very conservative thing, believe me. Certainly not a liberal thing, and sure as hell is not an NDP thing. Thank you all, folks. Don't forget, municipal election coming up October 24. Maybe it's time that we started spending a bit more time and researching, etc., etc. I think it'd be a good idea. And there's no question that it's probably a time, or getting very close to a time, when the other candidates, including Mark Sutcliffe, tell us what they plan to do. Thank you all. Back on Wednesday. Thank you.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.